The USS Horizon slowed as it approached the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council headquarters. Through the ship's viewing windows, Earth's first official delegation stared in wonder at the ring-shaped structure. Colorful, ships from dozens of worlds moved like busy insects around the gleaming metal station. Ambassador Eliza Morgan smoothed down her blue uniform and took a deep breath. After years of distant communications, humans would finally meet the 27 spacefaring species that made up the Galactic Council face to face. Nervous? Asked Lieutenant Commander Jack Nelson, standing at attention beside her. Wouldn't you be? Eliza replied with a small smile. Humanity's future might depend on the impression we make today. Dr. Olivia West joined them, her tablet, displaying images from the cultural exhibition they had prepared. The biological diversity section is ready. I included examples of all Earth's major ecosystems and species. The ship docked with a gentle bump. After a series of hissing sounds, the airlock opened. A tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms greeted them. Welcome to Council Station, humans of Earth. I am Chairperson Narathal. We have awaited this meeting with great interest. The delegation followed Narathal through wide corridors. Aliens, of all shapes and sizes, stopped to stare at the humans. Some had multiple limbs, others moved on tentacles. A group of small green beings with large eyes whispered excitedly as the humans passed. They entered a vast circular chamber where representatives from the council species sat in tiered seats. Eliza felt a flutter of anxiety but squared her shoulders. Honored council members, she began. Earth thanks you for welcoming us into the galactic community. We bring greetings of peace and hope for friendship. A screen appeared, showing images from Earth. Beautiful landscapes gave way to pictures of human achievements, cities, art, technology. Then came the wildlife section. A strange murmur ran through the chamber when images of Earth's animals appeared. Dr. West had included photos of elephants, eagles, dolphins, and then predators. A lion lounging in tall grass. A wolf howling at the moon. A grizzly bear catching salmon. The murmur grew louder when the next series showed humans interacting with these animals. A wildlife photographer kneeling near a cheetah. A researcher tagging a sleeping tiger. A zoo volunteer bottle-feeding lion cubs. Is something wrong? Eliza whispered to Narathal. The chairperson's upper arms made a gesture Eliza couldn't interpret. Please continue. We will discuss all matters after your presentation. But the tension grew when the conservation section appeared. Video clips showed humans releasing rehabilitated eagles, working to save endangered wolf populations, and creating protected areas for bears and big cats. A reptilian alien with scales that changed from green to red stood up. This is disturbing. Why are they displaying these behaviors? Narathal raised all 4 hands. Counselor Zixval, please let our guests complete their introduction. When the presentation ended, Eliza stepped forward again. We welcome your questions. Zixval's scale still showed patches of red. You deliberately protect and preserve your planet's apex predators. Why would any species do this? Eliza looked confused. Many of these species are endangered. We have conservation programs. You intentionally prevent their extinction? Interrupted another alien with a buzzing voice. Its insect-like body trembled with what seemed like agitation. Dr. West stepped forward. Of course. Earth's ecosystems depend on biodiversity. Predators play vital roles in... The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Eliza looked at Jack and Olivia in confusion. Narathal finally restored order. I believe we have uncovered a significant cultural difference. Ambassador Morgan, your species' relationship with Earth's predator species is unusual. No other council member has chosen such a path. I don't understand, Eliza said. What path? Protection rather than elimination, Narathal answered. Most species evolve by eradicating their predators completely. Eliza, Jack, and Olivia exchanged startled glances. This first meeting was not going as planned. Somehow, humanity's basic conservation efforts had shocked the entire Galactic Council. Perhaps, Narathal continued, We should form a special committee to explore this surprising aspect of human culture. Eliza nodded slowly, suddenly realizing that humans might be more alien to the council than anyone had expected. The meeting room felt tense as Ambassador Eliza Morgan and her team sat across from 5 council representatives. After the chaotic end to their presentation, the humans had been escorted to this smaller chamber. Counselor Zixval, the reptilian alien whose scales still flickered between green and red, leaned forward. "Let me understand this clearly," Zixval said. "You not only allow dangerous predators to exist on your planet, but you actively help them survive?" Dr. Olivia West nodded. "Many predator species are keystone species in their ecosystems. Without them, entire habitats would collapse." The insectoid Vesperi representative Click-T made a clicking sound. All species influence their environment to suit their needs. The logical path is to remove threats, not preserve them. "But that's not sustainable," Olivia argued. "When wolves were removed from Yellowstone Park, the entire ecosystem suffered. The deer population exploded, vegetation was overgrazed. You returned the predators that threatened your own species?" Interrupted a purple-skinned alien with tentacle-like appendages. "Deliberately?" Jack Nelson joined the conversation. "Wolves rarely attack humans. Most predators avoid us. Yet your historical records show countless deaths from these creatures," said Zixval. "Lions, tigers, bears, sharks, snakes all have killed humans?" Eliza sighed. "Yes, but those incidents are rare now. We've learned to coexist." The room fell silent. The aliens exchanged glances that Eliza couldn't interpret. "There's more," said Olivia, pulling up images on her tablet. "We don't just protect predators in the wild. Some humans keep smaller predators as companions." She showed pictures of people with cats and dogs. The aliens leaned forward, seemingly fascinated and disturbed. "These smaller predators live in your dwellings," asked Narathal, "near your young?" "Cats and dogs have been domesticated for thousands of years," Eliza explained. "They're part of our families." "But they have teeth designed for tearing flesh," Click-T pointed out, zooming in on an image of a cat yawning. "And these claws. Perfect killing tools." Jack smiled. "My sister has 3 cats. They mostly sleep and play with toy mice." The 5th alien, a plant-like being named Pella from the Floraxi species, spoke for the first time. "On my world, we eliminated all creatures that consumed plant matter. It was necessary for our ancestors' survival." "All herbivores?" Olivia asked, shocked. "Your planet has no animals at all." "Only those we later engineered for specific purposes," Pella replied. "No species reaches space without controlling its environment." Narathal raised 2 of her 4 hands. "This seems to be true across the council. Each member species either eliminated or fully domesticated their predators. None have chosen Earth's path of protection and conservation." "It's not just predators," Eliza said. "We try to protect all endangered species. It's about preserving biodiversity." "But why?" asked Zixval. "What benefit do you gain?" Eliza started to answer, then paused. How could she explain something so fundamental to human values to beings with such different evolutionary histories? "I propose a more extensive investigation," Narathal said into the silence. "A delegation should visit Earth to observe these conservation efforts firsthand." "Agreed," said Zixval. "This behavior must be understood before humans can be fully integrated into the council." "We welcome your delegation," Eliza said, though she felt uneasy. "We're proud of our conservation work." As they left the meeting room, Jack whispered to Olivia, "Did we just become the weird kids at the Galactic School?" "Worse," Olivia replied quietly. "I think they see us as potentially dangerous. What kind of species protects its predators instead of destroying them? In their eyes, only a predator species itself would do that." Eliza overheard them and frowned. This cultural gap was wider than anyone on Earth had anticipated. How could they bridge such a fundamental difference in perspective? The small spacecraft descended through Earth's atmosphere, carrying 3 Galactic Council representatives. Click-T pressed against the window, compound eyes taking in the vast greenery below. Beside the insectoid Vesperi sat Ren Mok, who had replaced Zixval as the Zalarian representative. In the back, the plant-like Pella from Floraxi clutched the edges of her seat. So much wilderness, Renmock observed. Most council worlds are fully developed. The ship landed in Wyoming, where Director Alan Pierce from the Global Wildlife Conservation Initiative waited. He was a tall man with a gray beard and weathered skin from years outdoors. "Welcome to Earth," Alan said, bowing slightly. "We've arranged visits to several conservation sites. Today we'll visit a wolf sanctuary." Pella moved, behind Click-T. "Are these wolves secured?" Alan smiled. "They roam freely in a protected area, but we'll observe from safe viewing platforms." The aliens boarded an electric vehicle that drove them into the forest. After 20 minutes, they stopped at a wooden structure overlooking a meadow. Ranger Susan Clark greeted them there. She wore a green uniform and carried binoculars. "We're tracking a pack that should pass through soon. They've been reintroduced to this area after being absent for 50 years. You removed them and then brought them back?" Renmock asked, confusion in his voice. "Humans nearly hunted wolves to extinction," Susan explained. "Now we understand their importance to the ecosystem." Click-T's antennae twitched. "Explain this importance." Susan pointed to various parts of the landscape as she spoke. "Wolves control deer populations. Without wolves, deer overgraze, which harms plant species. This affects insects, birds, and small mammals. Everything is connected." A howl echoed across the valley. Pella jumped and clutched the railing. "Don't worry," Susan said gently. "They're far away and not interested in us." Through binoculars, they watched as gray shapes moved at the forest edge. Susan identified the alpha pair and this year's pups. "They're killers," Renmock stated flatly. "They tear apart other creatures." "Yes," Susan agreed. "That's their role. Predators often target the sick or weak, strengthening prey species over time." Alan added, "Many council species evolved from prey animals, correct? Humans are unusual. We're omnivores with both predator and prey characteristics." Click-T made a series of clicks. "The Vesperi evolved from hive insects. We eliminated all creatures that preyed on us. It was logical." "Same with the Zalarians," said Renmock. "Our ancestors were hunted by scaled swimmers in our oceans. We killed them all. No Zalarian has been eaten by another species in 50,000 years." A wolf appeared closer than the others, watching the platform with curious eyes. "That's Luna, the alpha female," Susan said with obvious affection. "She was injured by a trap 3 years ago. We nursed her back to health and released her." "You helped it?" Pella asked in disbelief. "After someone tried to kill it?" "Poaching is illegal," Susan explained. "We protected her." "May I ask," Alan said carefully, "how your worlds maintain ecological balance without predator species?" "Balance is inefficient," Click-T stated. "We engineer what we need." As they returned to the vehicle, Renmock walked beside Alan. "Your Susan speaks of these killers with respect, almost affection." Alan nodded. "Many rangers develop deep connections with the animals they protect. And these animals would kill and eat her without hesitation," Renmock said. "Possibly, but that doesn't make them evil or unworthy of protection." Later, at their temporary quarters, the aliens transmitted their observations to the council. Olivia West, who was helping host the delegation, overheard Click-T's report. "Humans expend significant resources preserving creatures that would consume them. They speak of ecosystem services as justification, but there seems to be an emotional component as well." Olivia realized something important. The gap between humans and the council species wasn't just cultural, it was evolutionary. Every council species had evolved by dominating their environments and eliminating threats. None had followed humanity's messy, complicated path of coexistence. Tomorrow, they would visit the bear sanctuary. Olivia wondered how the aliens would react to seeing even larger predators up close. The next morning, the alien delegation traveled to Alaska. Snow-capped mountains rose around them as their vehicle approached the bear sanctuary. Click-T recorded everything with a small device, while Renmock stared out the window with narrow eyes. Pella seemed to shrink into her seat. Bears are much larger than wolves, Alan explained. North America has several species. The ones at this sanctuary are brown bears, also called grizzlies. How dangerous are they? Asked Renmock. Very, Alan answered honestly. Adult males can weigh over 1,000 pounds. They have powerful jaws and long claws. Yet you protect them, Clicktie stated. Alan nodded. Their numbers dropped dramatically due to hunting and habitat loss. Now they're protected by law. The sanctuary consisted of several large enclosures and a main building. Inside, wildlife biologist Paul Fisher greeted them. His friendly smile did nothing to ease the visitors' tension. Welcome. Today you'll learn about our rehabilitation program. We rescue injured bears and orphaned cubs, care for them, and release them when possible. He led them to a viewing room with large windows overlooking a grassy enclosure, where 3 young bears played. The aliens watched in silence as the cubs wrestled and climbed on logs. These 3 lost their mother to a poacher, Paul explained. We're raising them until they can survive on their own. He started a video on a large screen. This shows our rescue and rehabilitation process. The video showed Paul and his team bottle-feeding tiny bear cubs. Later scenes showed the same bears, now larger, being taught to forage by human handlers wearing bear-scented clothes. When the video showed Paul sitting with a half-grown bear cub leaning against him, Renmock suddenly stood up. "This is madness," he shouted. "You cuddle with creatures evolved to kill and eat you." Paul looked startled. "They're orphans. They need to be eliminated," Renmock interrupted. "Or at minimum, kept far from your settlements, not bottle-fed and treated like pets." He stormed out of the room. Clicktie's antennae quivered, but the insectoid remained silent. Pella looked between Paul and the door, clearly uncomfortable. "Apologize," Alan said. "Perhaps we should take a break." Later that evening, Olivia found the aliens in their quarters, huddled around a communication device. They didn't notice her in the doorway as a hologram of chairperson Narathal appeared. "Your reports are disturbing," Narathal said. "This behavior contradicts all evolutionary logic. The humans bottle-feed bear cubs," Renmock said. "They touch them, name them, speak to them with affection. It is deranged." "The wolves are similar," Clicktie added. "They track and monitor individual animals, celebrating their successful hunting." Pella spoke softly. "They view these creatures as essential parts of their world, not as enemies to conquer." Narathal's 4 hands made a complex gesture. "The Council must consider the implications. No species has joined us with this approach to its evolutionary competitors." Olivia stepped back quietly, mind racing. She finally understood the problem. Every Council species had followed the same evolutionary path: identify threats and eliminate them, dominate the environment completely. Humans had taken a different approach. Yes, they had hunted predators, but they had also admired them, studied them, and ultimately protected them, even named them and bottle-fed their young. She hurried to find Ambassador Morgan. This wasn't just a cultural misunderstanding. It was a fundamental difference in how species might evolve to intelligence. The Council saw humanity's relationship with Earth's predators as unnatural, perhaps even threatening. How could they explain that humans protected bears and wolves not despite their dangerous nature, but sometimes because of it? That humans valued the wildness these animals represented? That many people found these predators not just ecologically important, but beautiful? Olivia needed to find a way to bridge this gap before the Council decided that humans themselves were too unpredictable to join the galactic community. Olivia found Ambassador Morgan in her temporary office reviewing reports. After explaining what she had overheard, they called an emergency meeting with Alan and the rest of the Earth team. "We need a different approach," Eliza said. "Technical explanations about ecosystems aren't working. They see our protection of predators as irrational," Olivia added. "Maybe even as a sign we're dangerous ourselves." Alan rubbed his beard thoughtfully. "What if we show them the emotional side? The personal connections humans form with animals?" Eliza considered this. "It's worth trying. But where?" Your family home is near here, isn't it? Alan asked. Eliza nodded slowly. Yes, my husband Richard and daughter Kate are staying at our Montana cabin while I'm on this mission. Perfect, Alan said. Something small, personal, not a big institution or reserve. The next morning, Eliza invited the alien delegation to visit her family home. The cabin sat on the edge of a forest with mountains rising behind it. Smoke curled from the chimney and a tire swing hung from a tall oak tree. Richard Morgan greeted them at the door. He was a tall man with kind eyes and a warm smile. Welcome to our home, he said, gesturing them inside. The aliens entered cautiously. The cabin was cozy, with wooden furniture and family photos on the walls. An 8-year-old girl with curly hair sat on a rug in the living room. Beside her lay a dog with sleek fur and only 3 legs. This is my daughter Kate, Eliza said. And that's Dash, our rescue greyhound. Renmock stiffened. You keep a predator in your dwelling? With your child? Dogs are domesticated, Richard explained. They've lived alongside humans for thousands of years. Kate looked up. Dash was a racing dog. Someone hurt his leg and then didn't want him anymore because he couldn't run fast. So we gave him a home. Pella moved closer, curious but cautious. It has very sharp teeth. He's gentle, Kate said. She hugged the dog, who licked her face. He sleeps on my bed sometimes. As if on cue, an elderly orange cat limped into the room and settled on the couch. Its fur was patchy and one ear was torn. That's Whiskers, Richard said. Another rescue. Someone abandoned him when he got old. Click-Tie's antennae twitched rapidly. You deliberately collect damaged predators? We give homes to animals that need them, Eliza explained. They're part of our family. Pella approached the cat carefully. This creature could harm your offspring. Why risk it? Kate looked puzzled. Whiskers wouldn't hurt me. He purrs when I pet him. But why? Renmock asked, his voice less hostile than before. Why bring them into your home at all? Kate thought for a moment, then gave the simple answer only a child could provide. Because they're cute and they needed someone to love them. The room fell silent. The aliens exchanged glances. Cute? Click-Tie repeated the unfamiliar concept. You harbor potentially dangerous animals because you find them aesthetically pleasing? It's more than that, Richard said. Humans form emotional bonds with animals. We see them as individuals with personalities and feelings. Many Earth cultures believe all living things deserve respect, Eliza added. Not just those that benefit us directly. Later, as they sat around the dinner table, Kate told stories about Dash and Whiskers. The aliens listened with growing interest. Pella even accepted Kate's invitation to gently touch Whiskers, who purred at the contact. As they prepared to leave, Renmock paused beside Eliza at the door. Your daughter's bond with these animals is genuine, he said. It is still difficult for me to understand, but I see that this connection matters deeply to humans. It does, Eliza replied, just as your cultural values matter to you. On the journey back to their quarters, the aliens were unusually quiet, each lost in thought about what they had witnessed. For the first time, they had glimpsed something fundamentally important about humanity. Not just their ecological practices, but their capacity to care for other species, even former predators. Back at Galactic Council headquarters, the great circular chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from all 27 member species had gathered for a special closed session about Earth. Ambassador Eliza Morgan and her team waited anxiously in their temporary quarters, forbidden from attending. Inside the chamber, the chairperson, Narathal, called for order with all 4 of her arms raised. We have reviewed the reports from our Earth delegation, she announced. Now we must decide if humans are suitable for full council membership. The reptilian counselor Zixaval rose first. The evidence is clear. Humans deliberately preserve species that could harm them. They bring predators into their homes and treat them as family members. This behavior is not rational. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Consider the military implications, added a hulking representative from the Draconid Empire. Admiral Vox stood nearly 8 feet tall, with armored skin and sharp tusks. A species that protects its natural enemies is unpredictable. They might side with Council rivals in future conflicts. Renmok, who had just returned from Earth, rose to speak. While I initially shared these concerns, I observed something unexpected: the human capacity to care for other species, even potential threats, seems connected to their remarkable creativity and adaptability. The Luminary Ambassador, a being of shimmering light in roughly humanoid form, spoke next. Perhaps this trait explains humans' rapid technological development. By preserving biodiversity rather than conquering their environment completely, they maintained complex ecosystems that spurred innovation. Security cameras silently recorded the debate. Unknown to the Council, a junior human technician named Greg had gained access to the feed. He transmitted it to Ambassador Morgan's team, allowing them to watch the proceedings. "Look at that," Jack whispered, pointing to the screen where Admiral Vox was speaking again. "Humans identify with predators," the Admiral growled. "Their entertainment is filled with predator symbols. Lions, eagles, wolves, bears. They adopt these images for their sports teams, military units, and national emblems. They admire the very creatures that once hunted them." In another corner of the chamber, Clickty addressed the Council. "Our investigation found that humans do not merely tolerate these creatures. They expend considerable resources saving individual animals with no practical value. A single injured bear might receive medical care costing thousands of their currency units." Chairperson Narathal spoke thoughtfully. "Perhaps this reveals something important about human psychology. Their capacity for empathy extends beyond their own species. But is that wise?" asked a small amphibian counselor. "Or dangerous?" The debate continued for hours. In their quarters, Eliza and her team watched with growing concern. "They're trying to decide if we're too weird to join the club," Jack said. Olivia shook her head. "No, they're trying to decide if we're dangerous because we're weird." Finally, Chairperson Narathal called for a preliminary vote. "We will not make a final decision today, but I seek the Council's approval for a new initiative, a cultural exchange program. Several Council representatives will spend more time on Earth studying human-animal relationships. Meanwhile, human delegates will visit Council worlds to better understand our evolutionary paths." The vote passed by a narrow margin. When the news reached the human quarters, relief swept through the team. "It's not full acceptance," Eliza said, "but it buys us time." Alan Pierce nodded. "And it gives them a chance to understand us better." Later that evening, as Eliza prepared a report for Earth's governments, she received a message from Narathal. "Your species follows a unique evolutionary path," the message read. "While some Council members fear this difference, others find it intriguing. Perhaps humans have preserved something the rest of us lost long ago, a connection to the complex web of life that gave birth to all our species." Eliza read the message twice. For the first time, she felt real hope that humans might find their place in the galactic community, not despite their relationship with Earth's predators, but because of it. 2 months later, the cultural exchange program was in full swing. A dozen brave Council representatives had traveled to Earth's most famous wildlife reserves and zoos. Meanwhile, human delegations visited several Council homeworlds to better understand how other intelligent species had evolved. Dr. Olivia West led a small team to the Vesperi homeworld. Their ship touched down on a perfectly flat landing pad, surrounded by gleaming metal structures. No trees, no grass, nothing green at all. "Welcome to Hive Prime," said their guide, a Vesperi named Zikta, sister of our delegation member Clickty. The humans stepped out into the hot, dry air. The planet's surface was organized in precise, geometric patterns with hexagonal buildings stretching to the horizon. "Where are your natural areas?" asked Fred Martinez, a young ecologist on Olivia's team. "Natural areas?" Zikta's antennae twitched in confusion. "Parks, preserves, wild spaces," Olivia explained. "Ah, we have no such inefficient spaces," Zikta replied. "Every part of our world serves a purpose." As the tour continued, the humans grew increasingly uncomfortable. The planet was essentially one vast city, with factories, living quarters, and food production facilities covering every inch of land. There were no animals anywhere, not even insects apart from the Vesperi themselves. In a vast underground chamber, Zikta showed them ancient historical records. 10,000 years ago, our ancestors faced many competing species, she explained. Some ate our eggs, others competed for resources. The Great Purification eliminated these threats. Olivia studied the images of extinct creatures, colorful winged beings, six-legged hunters, burrowing animals. You removed all of them? Fred asked. The entire ecosystem? Of course, Zikta answered. It was necessary for our advancement. We now produce exactly what we need, nothing more. Later, in their private quarters, Olivia's team discussed what they had seen. It's sad, Fred said. Their world is so empty, but efficient, noted Lin Chen, their xenobiologist. They've survived for thousands of years this way. At what cost, Olivia wondered. They've lost all connection to the natural world that created them. Meanwhile, on Earth, Click T attended a butterfly release program at a botanical garden in Gawain, Japan. Children gathered around a conservationist who opened a mesh container. Dozens of colorful butterflies flew out, landing on flowers and occasionally on delighted children. A small boy named Hiro began to cry when the butterfly on his hand finally flew away. Why is the young human leaking? Click T asked the conservationist. He's said the butterfly's leaving, she explained. He liked holding it. But it's free now, isn't that better? Of course, but he formed an attachment to it, even in that brief moment. Click T watched the child being comforted by his mother. Something strange stirred within the Vesperi's mind, an unfamiliar sensation. The insectoid realized it was feeling concern for the small butterfly, hoping it would survive in the wild. On the Floraxi homeworld, another human team discovered vast greenhouses where plant species were carefully controlled. Only useful varieties were allowed to exist, arranged in perfect rows. And on Earth, Pella visited the Amazon rainforest, overwhelmed by its chaotic diversity. At first, she was terrified by the constant sounds of unseen creatures. By the third day, she found herself leaning against a tree, watching colorful birds with something like wonder. After 3 months, all exchange teams gathered data for the Council's final assessment, but something unexpected had happened during their time together. Many of the alien representatives had begun to understand, even appreciate, humanity's approach to nature. When Click T found an injured bird in a Tokyo park, the Vesperi didn't leave it to die as efficiency would dictate. Instead, following a strange new impulse, Click T carefully carried it to a wildlife rehabilitation center. 6 months after first contact, the Galactic Council convened a special session. The great chamber was packed with representatives from all member species. Large screens showed Earth scenes, lions on the African savanna, polar bears on Arctic ice, wolves running through forests. Ambassador Eliza Morgan stood at the center of the chamber, her team behind her. They had worked for months preparing for this moment when the Council would decide humanity's future role in galactic society. Chairperson Nara Thal raised all 4 arms for silence. Today we conclude our investigation into human ecological practices, she announced. Our cultural exchange has provided unprecedented insights into humanity's relationship with their world. She gestured to the returned Council delegates. Many looked changed by their time on Earth. Pella's normally pale green skin now had patches of deeper green, as if she had absorbed more sunlight. Click T's antennae had developed new sensory buds. First, we will hear from those who visited Earth, Narathal said. Click T stepped forward. When I first saw humans protecting predators, I thought it illogical. After 3 months on Earth, I understand it differently. Their approach preserved biological diversity that we Vesperi eliminated long ago. Pella spoke next, her voice stronger than before. On Earth, I walked through forests where thousands of species lived together. At first, it frightened me. By the end, I found it beautiful. The Floraxi lost this richness millions of years ago. Other delegates shared similar experiences. A Draconid warrior described watching eagles soar above mountains, A luminary scientist explained how Earth's oceans contained more varieties of life than all Council worlds combined. Then Olivia West presented findings from the human teams who had visited Council worlds. Each spacefaring species followed a similar path, she explained. They eliminated competitors and simplified their environments. This approach brought stability but reduced biological diversity. She showed images of the perfectly ordered but sterile Vesperi cities, the engineered Floraxi greenhouses, the climate-controlled Zilarian ocean domes. Humans took a different path, Eliza continued. We nearly destroyed our predators and ecosystems. But we stopped and changed direction. We learned to value the complex web of life that created us, Admiral Vox growled from his seat. This does not explain why humans keep predators as pets, or why they risk resources to save individual animals with no practical value. Eliza smiled. That's the part that's hardest to explain. Humans see beauty in wildness. We admire the grace of a wolf, the power of a bear, the freedom of an eagle. Yes, sometimes we protect them simply because we find them cute or beautiful. But there's more, she added. Many Earth cultures believe that strength comes from protecting the vulnerable, not eliminating them. By saving a species that might harm us, we show our own power and confidence. The chamber fell silent. Then Chairperson Narathal spoke. The Council has voted. We will establish a new galactic conservation initiative, with Earth as a founding member. Humanity will help us explore whether some of what was lost on our worlds might be restored. Relief swept through the human delegation. They had been accepted, as the formal session ended. Click T approached Eliza with an unexpected request. Ambassador Morgan, during my time on Earth, I visited a place called an animal shelter. I would like permission to adopt a juvenile feline. Eliza blinked in surprise. You want to adopt a kitten? Yes. Click T's antennae twitched nervously. The small orange one showed interest in my exoskeleton vibrations. The other council members nearby fell silent, staring at Click T with shock. No council species had voluntarily brought another species into their home in thousands of years. Eliza smiled warmly. I know just the shelter to visit. They have many kittens needing homes. As they walked away together, Eliza realized something profound had changed. Humanity hadn't just joined the galactic community. They had begun to transform it, one cute predator at a time.